Welcome back, everybody. It's your buddy Orange Hat here to bring you a story that really damaging to Madam Web, but Hollywood Reporter is also kind of trying to stick up for him. So they don't want to get in trouble for just writing a hit piece. They're literally trying to help this movie a little bit while basically saying the movie sucks. But anyway, let's get into this. Inside Sony's Madam Web collapse, forget about a new franchise. The flop is wiping out an entire plan for a new movie series as Sony becomes the latest superhero studio in need of a pivot. The trailer buzz was worrisome, advanced ticket sales anemic. Then last week, the critic reviews for Madam Web were posted, and they stung deepest of all. Sony's Spider-Man spinoff received the lowest average Rotten Tomato score, 13% of any major superhero film in nearly a decade. On Wednesday night, you could actually watch advance purchase sales declining in real time as buyers were refunding their tickets. Ouch! This came from a major theatrical chain insider. It really says something when you'd rather have Shazam or Shazam 2 numbers. It marked one of the lowest starts in Hollywood history for a film based on a Marvel character. Domestic box office for the first 6 days in North America was just $26.2 million. After opening week or midweek on Valentine's Day, international tallied $25.7 million from 61 markets. That's a little over $50 million. Ouch. Ouch. So, even the fan-friendly CinemaCore grade was a poor C+, extremely low for a superhero title. Like DC and the once unstoppable Marvel, Sony is now finding itself under the gun to reevaluate how it makes comic book movies. Sony's previous Spider-Man universe movie, Morbius, was a critical bust and much maligned by fanboys online. There's your problem right there. You're constantly blaming the fans with terms like fanboys. That's used as a derogatory by the media, by the way. But at least it managed to earn $170 million worldwide. There's no such hope for Madam Web. Plus, the feature's collapse doesn't just impact the film, but a new potential franchise led by star Dakota Johnson that Sony had hoped to spin out. Spoiler alert, the character is connected to Peter Parker, whose birth is documented in the movie. Oh yes, I am well aware of the connection to Peter Parker and the rest of the Spider-Verse, in fact. The film introduced a supporting trio of characters. Now one of the top stars at her age, Sydney Sweeney, in a setup, or Celeste O'Connor and Isabella Merced. It set up a future in which these three could have become a team of Spider-Women under the guiding eye of Johnson's Cassie Webb. Now, that's not going to happen. We're not going to see another Madam Web movie for another decade plus, quipped the industry veteran. It failed. Sony tried to make a movie that was a different type of superhero movie. Madam Web joins a troubling trend of superhero genre. Every live-action comic book movie last year underperformed, aside from Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Regardless of the studio, superhero fatigue has evolved into a term used by some corners of the fandom to something reluctantly accepted as industry fact. And it's come at a time when Marvel, DC, and Sony are all attempting the difficult work of birthing new franchises. Well, here's the thing. It's not so much fatigue or superhero fatigue. It's the fact that you did it it's how you did the superhero movies that people are having a problem with. It's what your talent is saying in the media before these movies come out that are turning people off. It's your constant obsession with identity politics. The first black this, the first Hispanic that, the first woman this. Instead, you're not focusing on the merit which produces quality of these things. Instead, you decided to focus, we're going to hire them because they're this skin color or this gender or this delusion and whatnot, and they're not suitable or quality enough to really resonate with fans. Sure, you have those fans online who will scream and shout and say, "Oh, I feel so represented." But how many of those people are in truth really out there? Honestly, my opinion, less than 10,000. In fact, completely brutal honesty, less than 75 or 7,500. Yeah, you may have tens of thousands of accounts online with no name, no profile pic, and a handful of followers. But if you really do track the IPs, you'll find that they're bot accounts. Or you'll find that they're duplication or they're duplicate accounts made to boost the numbers of the fans. Folks, I've been looking into all this stuff for a few years now. I've been reporting on this stuff for a few years. I've only ever gotten better at it. And this is the stuff that I'm finding. The problem is Hollywood's pandering to the lowest common denominator. When you pander to the lowest amount of people, you're going to make the lowest amount of money. When you make a movie for everybody, meaning lower and upper, or if you're gonna do the bold thing and say, you know what, we should probably focus on what the most people or what people mostly want instead of what those small bit or group of people want, we might make a little bit more money. If you do that, you'll be okay. The more you interest the greater number, the more they will support your system. That's how economics and business works. The more money or the more quality you have, the more interest you will receive, and therefore the higher demand you will get. It's really that simple, folks. What's so hard about that? What's so hard about Hollywood returning to that? Continuing on. So Madame Web, directed by or co-written by S.J. Clarkson and starring Johnson, is about a New York paramedic who developed psychic powers, seemingly took a wise approach. Where there are capes and cowls on every metropolis corner, doesn't it make sense to avoid the usual tropes and try for a more grounded feeling, suspense thriller with low-key charm? You want the audience to be charmed. So no, it doesn't make sense. And moreover, make a superhero movie for women and young girls? Women and young girls were going to watch Superman and stuff. And Black Adam and whatnot. They had no problem with the Avengers. They had no problem with all those other movies back when the Infinity Saga was going on. This other stuff, like I said, lowest common denominator. You're not appealing to the bigger numbers. Except it didn't work. Yeah, no shit. I don't know if women are enough to carry the box office here. Well, if you were to stop saying that women can do everything better than men and show that women are just as good as men, some ways better a little bit, and in truth, men are some ways better than women. If you were to go back to the balance, you'll understand that people resonate more with reality than with stupidity. One veteran studio source outside of Sony says, indeed, males make up 65% to 70% of the superhero audience in North America. In case of Madame Web, percentage of female viewers was still only 46%. Yeah, you pandered to the smallest number and you got the lowest amount of money. This just confirms what I said. We are in transition when it comes to superhero movies. I don't know how big that transition is or what the other side will look like. Probably shitty. It may be fewer movies, but bigger brands. Well, if you produce greater quality, you're going to get more money. And if Sony's upcoming Spider-Man universe title, Kraven, is a gigantic hit, the narrative could be completely different. So it's too early to know the outcome. I saw the trailers for Kraven. I've noticed some differences between the character and the comics, but you know what? That's expected to happen. I might give that movie a chance in the theater. I might not. All depends on what I hear from here to then. The narrative or the current mood of Sony is gloomy. An insider says the studio has certainly had notable wins under movie chief Tom Rothman's tenure, including the Oscar-nominated Spider-Verse series and live-action Venom. A third Venom starring Tom Hardy is due out November 8th. Yeah, except that Carnage was not as good as the first one, in my opinion. Rothman is now keeping a close watch over budgets and is widely reported that Madam Web only cost $80 million, but the actual number is in the low $100 million range. So this dude is actually lying about his budgets. According to several sources, still, that's far less than 200 to 300 million routinely spent by Marvel or DC. Yeah, it makes you wonder why they continue to spend that. Interestingly, Madam Web reviewers are earnestly making the case for the film could eventually lead or find a second life as a camp classic. LA Times praised it as the purest form of camp, and Slate raved it's travesty, a disaster, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. While such backhanded comments are hardly solace for Sony, there's an argument to be made that if you're going to fail, you might as well fail big. You don't want to do that in the business industry. Because there's actually something worse than a movie not succeeding, it's being forgettable. This movie is going to be forgettable. People aren't going to care. You had a bait and switch. You lied to your viewers. You tried underscoring your budget, saying that it only cost this one, and in fact it cost higher. And if studios continue to do that, they're only going to continue to find failure. I actually said this in a tweet the other day, that what you are seeing right now is a disorganized effort to stand against Hollywood. Imagine if all these people who just want to be entertained and are sick of the identity politics, imagine if they all organized. Hollywood wouldn't just lose hundreds of millions of dollars in the box office, they would lose billions every year. Last year, Disney lost billions of dollars in movie losses alone. If you guys really want to push fans even further, they will fully organize and you will go bankrupt within a few years, Hollywood. You might want to start listening to the bigger number of fans. The ones who thought that 90s and the early 2000s were very good. And even the 2010s as far up to 2016, 2017. Nowadays, you only have like a handful of diamonds in the rough. A handful of good movies out of dozens of movies a year. I mean, over the last few years, I've only liked 3 or 4 movies. And that's it. And I'm a person who grew up movie-oriented. But now I'm noticing such a slip in quality because you guys have changed your outlook and say, well, we want to focus on identity politics instead of focusing on merit-based hiring. Look for the better quality. It's not simple, or doesn't necessarily mean it's white people. It means stop focusing on just because they're black. Start focusing on, okay, if they're black, but are they also good at what they do? And are they ready for this level of entertainment and providing this level of quality that will give us more money? If they're not ready for that, you really shouldn't hire them. That's all I'm going to say about it, folks. It has nothing to do with skin color and everything to do with how well they are in what they do. It's merit-based. So yeah, that's going to be the video, folks. You all know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. What do you think? Do you think maybe Hollywood should maybe go back to the way it was doing things before and make a lot more money? Or do you think they are going to continue to fail to the point where they need to fail all the way in order to learn their lesson? Let me know all your thoughts, folks. This has been Orange Hat. You all have a wonderful day. Stay humble.